Nice shirt. You're into the stripes today. All right. Nothing new really, just for us. We just got over our red zone day, obviously inside, so some of that stays the same, and so we're the weekend's here.
Did Kyle have a setback with his hip going from full Wednesday to not?
I don't know if you call it a setback. I think for us right now, just kind of seeing where he's at, but I mean, you could maybe say technically a slight one, but we're just trying to get see exactly where he's at for the weekend. So.
Do you expect him to be a game time decision?
I think so, yeah. I think that's what it'll end up being.
With Gabriel out, Matt, is this more of an opportunity now for Anthony Miller to kind of step up and be a little more active?
I could definitely see, more of Anthony playing a role. I mean, and that's been, we've known that kind of from training camp when he had that unfortunate injury in training camp and getting him back up to speed. And I feel like right now that you could definitely see, more of him, which is great. That's where the depth comes in. So when you do have guys, and I said this to you before, is when you have some players that you rely on a lot, and Taylor just had 3 touchdowns and had a good game. But when one guy goes down and you have a team of depth, it's not, you have next guy that fills in.
How about made an interesting comment yesterday talking about Anthony. He said that he only had the one catch, I think, in that game, but that he actually did a lot of really good things that didn't show up in the stat sheet. What can you explain that sort of what he means that he actually had a really good game despite only the one?
Well, in this offense, there's a lot of things you can do as a wide receiver that your route may change based off the defense. So, and when your route changes based off the defense, it might open somebody else up. And I think that's kind of what Mark's getting to, is there's some of that. And then blocking-wise, too, there's some assignments that you might have moving guys around. He's in a position where we move – he's in that adjuster position, we call it. And so mentally he's got to know a lot of that. So I think the combination of the mental side, the physical side of block, and then any of that, the conversion type stuff is pretty much what he's talking about.
Before Taylor's injury, how close were Wims and maybe even Ridley close to getting larger roles, especially for Ridley becoming active?
They're both doing a good job. Wims has done a great job last year. You could see, in particular, I think of the Vikings game, coming into second year in training camp. He's growing quick. We're very comfortable with him at the wide receiver position. And then Ridley, he's very similar to Javon from last year. So he's kind of learning the nuances of this offense and where to go. And so, but we're both really pleased with them. And I think it's just a matter of when they are given a chance, what do they do with it?
What prompted Burton to show up on the injury report today? Was it caution being on the turf?
Yes.
Or was it an actual?
No, it's the turf. Yep. Yeah.
Expect him to go somewhere?
Yeah.
Matt, you guys did a remarkably good job keeping everybody on the field last year. Now, early this year, you got key guys. Anything you did differently, or at the end of the day, is this just all the football gods?
It's part of. I think it's that. I think it's the football stuff. I really feel like our silos of our training, our training room, our strength, and then our nutrition with Jen Gibson, they do a great job, and they understand how important it is to make sure that we collaborate to try to stay ahead as much as you can of some guys, and then others are. Every year is going to be a little bit different, and be honest, last year was a pretty clean year with injuries, and that's coming off of what it was previously. That was a good thing. We know that it's never going to always be that way, and so we're hitting a little bit of that early here.
When you're facing a team that has seen your quarterback and seen your own offense last year, is that a benefit to the defense or the offense versus playing somebody who's never faced Mitch before?
It's probably a push. It depends on the coordinator that you're going against. It depends on the players. Again, the Vikings have guys that have played together for a long time. So those guys, however many games they've seen, if it's 5 against Mitchell, they've seen him 5 times. Whereas a different team, it might be the first time they've seen him. And then for Mitch, it's however many games. So it's, to me, this game is a wash in regards to Mitch versus this defense.
Is there an experience that you get from actually facing a guy versus watching it on film that's instructive for you or for the defense, or is that a wash too?
I think it's a wash. You're saying if a defense hasn't seen a player live before, like a quarterback, but they've seen.
Never faced him.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how much that really plays into it. I think it's more so where it comes into play is a situation like this, where a quarterback has played a defense 5 times and a defense has seen him 5 times. It's interesting to see how do they see him and how does the quarterback see the defense versus when you don't see each other or you don't play, it really doesn't matter either way.
Man, Hicks has been so good against the Vikings and obviously a big key against a guy like Cook. Does that at all lower the percentage of what he's got to be at to play?
No, I mean, whatever we need to do for him to have him ready to go, we'll do, and so we'll do what's right for the player, but then we'll also take into consideration where we're at as a team, and so it's just it's for us, it's never going to change in how we handle that, regardless of the situation. I don't think the percent changes just because of that.
I know you wanted to get Eddie some rest for his knee injury, Eddie Pinheiro, sorry. How important was it to get him some kicks, without going from the game Monday to the game Sunday without kicking?
I don't. It's an interesting question. For me, you might be a little bit shocked, but I'm kind of just going right now. The whole kick thing, of when he's kicking, when he's not, his days on, his days off, is he playing, is he not? I'm just kind of. I got people that are handling that, so I trust in them, and they're kind of doing their thing. So if he kicked and he felt good, great. If he didn't kick, I could care less. I just want him to make the kicks when he's on Sunday.
But his limited participation is indication that there has been some improvement?
Yeah, I would say I think so. I mean, again, last week it was one of those things. It's a pain thing, Let's go play, and he did that to his credit. Again, if you played and you kicked field goals, I think you should be pretty good for this week too. That's the way I look at it. I'm just not really getting into the whole what is it on a daily basis. I don't care. If he's ready to go this weekend, let's go. If you're not, then we'll do something else.
Earlier this week, we talked a lot about your interaction with Mitch on
Yeah.
the sideline there. I'm curious, when you played quarterback, did you have any interesting interactions or memorable ones?
Is that a setup question? Yeah. I've had a few, and none of them are. Again, as a player, my high school coach will tell you. He coached 35 years back in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and one of the first confrontations he had was me as a player, because when he got on me, I got right back at him, and it wasn't good for me to do that, and it wasn't good for him the way he handled me. So he learned how to handle a quarterback, and so. I guess my point is that I am a little bit feisty. I'm competitive, and so sometimes it comes out a little bit. But with Mitch, he knows that. I mean, that's not the first time, and we haven't made a big deal out of it at all. We kind of were joking about it.
Did they have any certain sayings, messages that they were frequent with that seemed to stick with you?
Who's that?
Your former coach at any level.
No. I mean, it's every quarterback is a little bit different. I've seen so many of them, and some they want to lead by example, right? Others they're gonna get on you a little bit in practice. They're gonna yell and say when they need to, but they do their thing that way. They're more verbal. Others don't say a word at all either way. So I think it's a unique position, and you got to be fragile with how you handle it, because you don't want the quarterback to change. You want them to be who they are, right? Now that whole thing, that's just coaching. That's coaching. And so if I didn't think Mitch could handle that, trust me, I would have never done that. I know he's a big boy. I know he can handle it. And so and he knows that he can, that there's going to be times we get at it.
There's been a lot of fascination this week with the sugar huddle, whatever you call it, up at the line and its impact on Mitch. What, if anything, does it do for you as a play caller?
Well, it's different because we haven't done a whole lot of it, so there's a little bit of learning that goes with it when you decide to do it. If it's something that you want to sprinkle in, how much do you want to do? It can change the tempo for teams, and I think it's all based off of whatever you think you can get an advantage for that week. But when you are in that mode, it's something that it's certainly different for the quarterback coach communication, and because you have till 15 seconds on the play clock until they shut it off, so you better get whatever you're trying to do in that time.
Were there any calls Monday night that you actually changed and went away from your first instinct because of what you saw?
Yeah, there's some of that goes on. Yeah, for sure, and I think that's an advantage of being able to do that. you know, when you go up tempo like that, there's a lot of advantages. There's some disadvantages, but you got to know what they are. That's part of the scheming part, but then there's advantages too, for certain reasons. Again, if you feel like you need it for whatever reason, there's a lot of advantages to it.
Back to Adam's question about the coach quarterback.
Yeah.
Any funny stories or any interesting things that Doug Plank ever got in your face about when he coached?
He stuck to defense. He knew better. Just stick to D. Yeah, no, I got some good stories now from him, but none of them were about offense. Yeah.
We saw you guys in training camp with peanut punch and really emphasizing that. Does that continue through the regular season here? And do you think it's taught more here because of the origin of it?
There's a definite emphasis for sure. You know, I don't know if other teams don't call it the peanut punch just because they're, you know, not being from here. Oh, Jesus. Here we go. I can't get away from it. You're unbelievable. The punch. So they might call it the punch, so maybe we should call it that. But we emphasize it. Coach Chuck and those guys emphasize turnovers all the time. It's not just the punch, but it's also being able to take the ball away. You know, we challenged that defense before that game on a certain number of turnovers they get, and they darn near doubled it. So it was good to see. I mean, they hear that, you know, and then they do it. So that's pretty cool. Pretty good math.
Thanks, guys.
Should I have asked for more?
You should put it up the pad.